were affected by this demolition will be compensated. And then we also have to have a humane way of dealing with it. We've got some women here, we've met them. These are old women, they're from the Nubian community. Their houses were broken in the dead of the night. And right now, with the cold weather that we're experiencing, everything in their homes was destroyed. They have no clothing, they have no blankets. I honestly believe that we can also try and bring some food so that we can actually help them as we try and settle them. And I also feel that the Kenya Human Rights and Kura and all the stakeholders had met and discussed that this demolition would not take place until we have actually ironed out the issues. And I don't understand why they just went ahead to do it in the manner that they always do it, in the middle of the night with police force. I mean, right now, with the spirit of the handshake, we should really be able to communicate with each other and work together, because this country belongs to all of us. All the people that were in Kibera, I mean, for me, I'm not a lawyer, but they've stayed here for over 12 years. They've got adverse possession of this land. So you cannot wake up one day and just decide, okay, this was a road reserve. We have no problem with the road coming in there. But by virtue of the fact that they have lived here for over 20, 50 years, they had acquired possession of this land. So if you want to build a road and you say it was a part of the master plan for the road, the fact is, I think they need to be compensated. We need to find a way to settle them. And I also think that the government needs to now invest in shelters. This country has a very poor social structure. If we had shelters in this country, we would be able to actually move people to shelters, put them there for 2-3 months while we move them to other places. Nairobi is over-congested. We don't have enough housing. And I also believe that the houses on the outskirts that we have not demolished, there is a need to talk to them, right? So that if we're going to build, we build and we compensate, so that the landowners can also feel that there's a country that cares about them. These are voters, they're protected by the Constitution, and I honestly feel that there's a humane way to do things. So from the Women Reps Office, we have very little in our disaster fund, which is already taken over by all the disasters we've had, but I'm going to try and shift some funds, because I've heard a lot of the women here asking for the children, they're asking for blankets. And I don't believe that anyone will move out of here until you compensate them. And my appeal to the road construction companies is that incorporate the Kibera youth in terms of labor, because the Kibera youth need the jobs. They were used to getting paid and working during the NYS, and of course it became a big scandal, but they were not the scandal. They were the workers. They were doing a good job. The women were cooking for the men were working. We do need to incorporate the youth into employment. The government has been very clear that we have to get rid of cartels and work with our youth. So I'm really hoping that we will incorporate the youth into clearing and into construction.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to make it very clear from the onset that the people of Kibera, the people who have been affected here, have been very, very gracious and peaceful in their understanding that they are not opposed to this particular road project, that they in fact have welcomed this road project. They had so much faith in the institutions and the organizations in government, such as the Kenya Urban Roads Authority, that they were willing to sit down with them to have a discussion or a dialogue on how the resettlement is going to happen. I am aware, having spoken to the leadership at the Kenya Urban Roads Authority, that indeed there was an agreement with the residents of Kibera that there would be a resettlement action plan, which would entail that before the demolitions began, some sort of compensation would be paid to allow people to find alternative settlements. Even when you speak to them here, and they are here, they can confirm. These people are not like the people in the Mau. They are not opposed to the project. They are not saying they don't want the road to pass here. They have sat down with all the government authorities, and in fact there was agreement that there would be a move to compensate so that we find alternative settlement before we push people out. Now, it is a betrayal of trust from the government side, having sat down with the residents here and agreed that there would be a form of compensation to allow people to find alternative settlement, for them to just come in the wee hours of one morning and to demolish it. So we want to condemn in the strongest in the strongest language possible, that act of betraying the trust of the people of Kibera who had sat down on a table with them. We want to discourage people who do not like dialogue. We want to discourage people who want us to fight over every single thing. When people have been reasonable enough to sit down with you and have a discussion, and you reach certain agreements, it is very unfair for you to then to breach that trust and then to proceed against all the agreements that have been reached. So for us, we are terribly, unhappy with what has happened. I thank the residents of Kibera that they have maintained peace, that even in the face of the betrayal of trust from the Kenya Urban Roads Authority and the multi-sectoral team that is running this particular project, they have remained peaceful. I mean, what we need to do now, as a matter of urgency, is for Kura and the multi-sectoral agency that is in charge of this particular project to speed up that delivery of their promise to be able to give something in terms of resources to enable people to find alternative settlements. As human beings, we cannot countenance that we are sleeping comfortably in our houses, and yet there are our fellow Kenyans, our fellow human beings, sleeping outside in the cold, even with children. It is something that is unacceptable. So, as a political party, as human beings, as Kenyans and people who believe in the Constitution, we are giving the Kenya Urban Roads Authority 7 days within which they must find alternative, settlement for the people who have been affected. I can tell that many people had already moved out of their own volition under very difficult circumstances. We all know finding accommodation in this city is terrible. It's difficult. You have to have money to pay deposits, to pay rents in advance. So if the promise had been made that there would be something that would be given, then let the compensation come so that our people can continue with their lives.